So we're kicking off 2026 and we're going to do this by reviewing each brand's portfolio. And right now we're going to focus at the Amann gearbox portfolio as it is today. But before we do that, as always, like, subscribe, do something with this video. We're going to start bottom up. So the first mill we're going to look into is the Motion DRS. It is their 4-axis wet. Well, it can mill dry also, but it's their chair side mill. The cool thing about this mill is that it integrates with the whole DRS workflow. So you have the Mind DRS, which covers CAD and CAM on a chair-side-like workflow. It is a really controlled environment focused on doctors that want to do chair-side. So same-day dentistry, maybe 2-3 hours crown. That's what you're going to be able to do here. So from here, we're going to jump into the Ceramil Motion 2, which is their oldest mill in the current portfolio. This mill has been available since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. What is this mill? It's a 5-axis, wet and dry. It is possible to get this one dry only and later on add the wet system. It is a pretty straightforward zirconia, PMMA, wax, glass ceramics. It is their most standard mill out there. From here, what we're going to have is we're going to look into two options. I'm going to go with the evolution that makes sense for the Motion 2 for the Motion 3. What are the main differences between the Motion 2 and the Motion 3? Difference number one is on the RFID tool tracking. So on the Motion 2, you don't have a way to precisely track the lifespan of the burr. With the Motion 3, you have an RFID reader on each burr where on the system, you're going to see the actual lifespan. So you're going to see 17%, 20%, 25%, 98%. And it's going to tell you exactly when you need to change the burr before you start to have problems with the milling quality. Besides that, it has a touch screen on it where you have all the guided workflows on that touch screen. Those are the two main differences between the Motion 2 and the Motion 3. So the Motion 3 has a more controlled workflow. After the Motion 3, we have the Ceramil, which is the highest production mill that Amann gearbox carries. And right now you have the option of getting it dry only. So what is the big thing about this mill? First of all, it's huge. Second of all, it carries, as you guys can see here, a 36-fold disc changer. So that means you can put up to 36 discs to mill autonomously. What does that mean? You can put different sizes, different shades, different materials. You can pretty much have your whole inventory installed inside the mill and you don't have to worry about that. If we do the math, this easily has over 200 hours of production capacity installed just within those 36 holders. So from the Matic on, we're going to start to look into the white line of Amann gearbox. So we have the Matron Core and the Matron. They are basically the same mill. The difference is that the Matron carries an 8-fold disc changer on the side, while the Matron Core is just the mill itself without a disc changer. What is really interesting about this mill, let me open this one. This is a mill focused on enabling the customer to have a one-for-all applications mill. So that means this mill here can do anything from metal all the way to zirconia. So zirconia, PMMA, PEEK, titanium, chrome cobalt, glass ceramics, pre-milled abutments, anything you can think of can be milled with this mill. A couple interesting things. One is the snap mag. So basically you can have as many snap mags that you need, and you can put up to 11 burrs on each snap mag. So you can have your titanium milling tool set, your zirconia tool set, your PMMA, all that separate. So you don't have to change burr by burr. You just take one of these guys here, take it out, place the new one in. Another thing, it has the C-clamp to it. So you have a really high definition milling on full arches. And this mill has a couple really nice things structure-wise that makes it able to do metal milling. One of them is the VMAX innovative arm. So it has a 45-degree angle on the arm that holds the disc, which gives way more stability. It has the option of working with 6mm collets for titanium and chrome cobalt, and it has an internal structure which is cast aluminum. So everything on this mill was developed and thought about to make it rigid, to make it vibration free, so you can mill any kind of material. The Matron Core, I'm not going to waste too much time here because it's basically the Matron, like I said, but without the disc changer. And here we have the Motion 3 Air and the Motion Air. I'm going to talk first about the Motion 3 Air. It is the Motion 3 that we spoke before, but this one has an internal compressor on it, which means you don't need an external compressor. This is a plug and play mill. And right next to it, we have the Motion Air, which is their newest release. This is their entry-level mill, really focused on chairside zirconia milling for full arches. This is a really direct competition to a VHF E5 or to an Up 3D P55D. What is the big thing about this mill? Of course, it's going to be affordability. It is an air-free mill, so you don't need an external compressor. And this has been, I think, their biggest bet over the last year or so in terms of equipment. So excited to see how this plays out. If you still have any questions, access our website. You're going to have a comparison tool with all the information you need about any type of equipment.